Okay, go ahead, Carol.
Okay, so we're calling the meeting to order. Why don't we do roll call? Can we just go around and say who's on? Jonathan.
Linda, do you just want to call them all?
Yep.
Okay, Linda can.
Carol Carey, Paul
Yep.
Sebesta, Andrea Worthington, Amanda Maturzik, Amy Howinski, Chris Zimmerman, Jonathan Marr, Laura Robertson, Town Planner, and Rosemary Jaquith, Town Board.
Okay. It looks like the first order of business is to approve it looks like we have two sets of meeting minutes. We have to approve the September 17th and the October 8th.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with September 17th. Does anybody have any comments on that?
Not I.
Nope. No.
No, Amy?
Hey, just a quick question. Can you guys see me or hear me? I lost connection on my computer, and so then I tried with the phone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Phone and your voice.
Okay.
Can you
So-
see us?
I cannot see you, but that's okay.
Okay, because you could try signing off and back on again too. Sometimes that helps.
I did. Thank you. I will try again.
Okay.
So there were no comments to the September 17th meeting minutes?
Not for me.
Okay, then does somebody want to make a motion to approve?
I will make a motion to approve.
Okay, anyone want to second it?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes from September 17th? Raise your hand, I guess, so we can see.
Aye.
Aye, okay, great. The next is the October 8th meeting minutes. Does anyone have any comments on those?
Amy's talking. We can't hear her though. She's muted.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
There
Can
we
you hear
go.
me now?
Yeah.
Thank you. I apologize. I've tried multiple times, computer and phone, so I apologize for that delay. I have a comment on the October 8th
Okay,
minutes. So, and I officially abstained from the previous ones. I was not in attendance, so I don't feel comfortable knowing what was discussed to see if that was reflected accurately in the minutes. For the October 8th one, if you look at line 25 and 26, I think we should just be a little tiny bit clearer. It says, after looking over the area, they suggested the sign be moved about 20 feet closer to the road up to the Little League baseball parking lot. And I think what you intended there was meaning that it was moved sort of kind of to the left from the way that we were viewing the sign.
Wow.
But I think we also moved it quite a bit forward.
so maybe we could reword that. Linda, you kind of took note of where we wanted to move it. Remember, we were off of the one post of the guardrail?
We were, I don't remember.
I think you
Yeah,
have
we
a
could do that better. It
notebook.
was
Yeah,
sort of aligned with the entrance, right? So as you came in the entrance, when you're driving towards the parking lot, the sign would be like directly in front of you.
Right.
On the other-
44 feet.
It was 20 feet back from the fourth post in on the, straight in on the parking lot.
That's right. That's what it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to Google Meet. Enter the meeting pin.
Okay, we've got two more people. Cool.
Okay.
Okay, I'll clarify that.
Okay, Amy, any other comments?
I can no longer see you guys. I apologize. My connection is not good. I'm trying to go in on the phone. Are you able to hear me?
We can see you.
See you very well.
Terrific,
Yeah.
terrific. Great. Thank you, everyone. So the next line, also 26, members also suggested that the Olympic rings should be added by the year 1984. And it just reads like we should have physically added them 25 years ago. But I think what you meant was, you know, how there was the up here on the corner, it said 1984. So I don't think we need the phrase by the year 1984, just that the Olympic rings need to be added.
Yeah, and I do believe they were once there. My husband also mentioned that he remembers seeing them, so I think somehow they've been taken.
Guys, I have to show you. You're totally right. Clark and Dennis, the historian, looked through the old files. Can you see this?
It's coming up. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
the old
There
sign.
they
We
are.
did have the Olympic ring.
Mhm.
Everyone who remembered that was right.
Mhm.
Wait,
But
doesn't
they
look
must
like
have just
that
fallen
anymore.
off. It's clearly the original sign, don't you think? And they just fell off the top
Or taken.
or were taken.
Yeah, oh, that's
The old
interesting.
sign. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it makes
if
sense
it's
to have
called
them
Jeff
back.
Blatnick, we
Right.
should have the ring, the Olympics in there.
Yeah.
Now, we had talked about redoing the sign.
Yeah, we're working on that. Because see, they just sort of fell off the top because we were working with I met with Ray on it. That's just a couple. So they think, and maybe you guys said this already, that the high school actually made that sign. And so when I met with him, he looked at it and he was like, "Yeah, we can't just repaint that." I think we all kind of came to that same conclusion. But he wanted to like recreate the sign as much as possible to be true to the original, and so he wanted to see if we could find the historic context of the sign and see what it used to look like. So that's what we did. But now we just need to work on, budgeting and purchase and installation. But he definitely acknowledged that we need to redo that sign, and he went to work with us on it.
Should we put that in the meeting minutes? Because we really did discuss putting a new sign in versus just relocating it.
Right, I remember
Yeah,
that.
maybe. Yeah, we could be clear about that in a minute too. You know what? Maybe let us redo those, and we'll bring them back to you next meeting.
Okay.
Is it really our responsibility to say that the Jeff Blatnick Park needs to have a new sign in it? Is there a parks group that does anything? We do it. We're part of, we have
No,
to
it's not
ask.
really our responsibility. It's just that we were talking about doing the plantings around it, and
Well,
we were looking at the health of the trees behind it, and then we noticed the sign. So, we're just trying to be helpful. But yeah, it's not really our responsibility. But
okay,
it's good to capture what the full conversation was.
right, okay. Got it.
Okay, so we aren't going to approve these tonight then, correct, Laura? You're going to make that change?
Yeah,
Or
let
should we-
Lynn and I just kind of do those things so that you can actually look at the language that we do, and we'll bring them back to you next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
I think, is it, everyone okay with the rest of the meeting
Yeah.
minutes from that?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Privilege of the floor, we don't have anyone, do we, Laura?
No, I didn't hear from anybody.
Okay. So the next is new business, the youth initiative. So is
That's me.
that's you? Okay.
Thanks everybody for having me tonight. And so I'm here, I'm visiting all of the advisory committees of which the town board has created this new sort of unique youth representative position. And you guys are one of them. So it's Tree Council, it's Conservation Advisory Council, it's Complete Streets and Climate Smart Task Force. Town board passed a resolution recognizing and creating this sort of designated student representative position on these advisory committees, but sort of chose the 4 that I just listed as sort of a pilot program, right, Laura? Laura's been had a lot of interest from people. One of the benefits of what's happened over the past few years is activism, and certainly in our youth. And so this presents, so as probably a lot of you guys know, I was on the school board for a number of years, and we had student board representatives, and it was an invaluable contribution to conversations at the school board level. And so this is sort of a similar thing that I broached with the board in terms of having, youth voices. It's an opportunity for them to learn about local governance at its sort of root level, and and also provide a voice for them and a perspective. So I've been visiting the different committees to sort of talk about this. And so I'm almost done. I have one more committee to visit, but the resolution that the town board passed creates these positions, especially designated for students, be a junior or senior in Niskayuna resident, junior and senior high school, or in a 2 or 4 year college or graduate school or trade school, and be able to be actively engaged and show an interest in the particular committee. So we've created I know Linda was working on this. Thanks, Linda, for the application that we'll be using for these different committees. And it's for you guys to review. It has some, general biographical information, but also has a portion that explains why the particular student might be interested in serving on the committee, or, what they bring to the table, etc. What we were finding as we've created these advisory committees, some students are interested, but of course their resumes sort of are, pale by comparison to some of the adults, the wonderful, people that we have in our community. And so we wanted to create something that would just be allocated solely for, students. So as of right now, the town board's created, one student representative position on the 4 committees that I mentioned. And the resolution reads so that it can be open to others. We're going to sort of pilot it through these 4 committees. I talked to Laura about putting out something in a general email. I think, Laura, maybe we should do it after this committee. Like, there's only one left. We should put something out with the application. Students will be eligible to come to your committee. The application process will actually be through the committee, so you guys can weigh in and give a recommendation to the town board, as opposed to what normally happens, which is the town board solicits applications for, representation on these committees in a similar way that, you guys, went through. But you guys will make a recommendation. You guys will go through the students that might be interested and make a recommendation to the town board for a 1-year appointment. And we can grow. I think, the other committees I visited, Laura can attest to this. She's been on all the other committee meetings. There's been great enthusiasm, to have these students on here and to, give them an opportunity to learn and grow about, learn about local governance and be part of that, but also to have their voices, heard. And we might grow it. It's, you guys might enjoy that and might say, hey, town board, we'd like to not just have 1 student, we might want 2 or 3. Sort of a pilot program. Andrea, did you have a question? Sorry.
No, I don't know if it's still true, but the high school has a horticulture club. And these students, my daughter was in there, and she is now working on her PhD in this field. And so, because of being involved in this, and I don't know if it still exists, but if that's true, that's group would be wonderful for the tree committee.
So actually, I put Laura in touch with, so again, calling on my, my school board roots and my connections there, I actually put Laura in touch with Tony Malizia, who's the assistant principal at the high school, who's responsible for clubs.
Yeah.
And I identified particular ones, that might be of use, right, Laura? There's recycling club. There's a number of clubs that might be, that are, and Tony responded immediately to Laura and I and said, yes, our students are looking for opportunities to contribute to their community, especially now, and there's great interest in a variety of areas that would touch on these committees, including your point, Andrea, there are folks who love this and look, and what I found certainly when I was
the high school has a greenhouse,
Yeah.
I mean, there really are people there that really want to learn about plants and work with plants and do this stuff.
Yes. And they can hopefully accompany Laura on her lunchtime jaunts to, all the things that Laura's doing on her lunchtime, mulching here, planting here. So yeah, it's an opportunity not only for student board representation, but beyond that, Laura and I talked about, there are volunteer opportunities for these kids to contribute their members of this community, just like everyone is, and they want to contribute. So Laura's gonna, Tony was very excited about this, and Laura's gonna follow up and make that connection to
Great.
offer these students the opportunity to help, but for us to receive that help as well. And to the point, Andrea, so in the 5 years that I was on the school, I was on for 6 years, but for 5 of those years, we had student board representatives. And what I found for the majority of it was that these students came in with a certain idea about what they wanted to do, and them having that student board representation experience opened up a whole new world to them. And I'm still connected with all of them. And I've got like 90% of them have followed public interest. They want to go to law school. They want to serve their community. So opening that experience through, this committee opportunity, just, it just opens up a whole new world to them. And, in the short, sort of span of that I've had exposure, it's open interest, and these students have pursued it. So that's for you guys to say. We also talked about the resolution also provides that this will be, distributed townwide. It will be advertised at Conservation Advisory Council, right, Laura? We talked about our connection to. We had Ashok is on there. He's a union professor, so he's going to make sure it gets advertised through union. Still waiting for my Schenectady County Community College contact to come through, but we want to advertise this as widely as possible to get as much interest. And again, if we get a lot of students, and/or you try one and you want to bring more, that's something to bring to town board. But I think everyone will be enriched by, by the experience. So that'll be your appointment. Again, it would be upon your recommendation who to appoint. So you guys would navigate that. I think I've covered the highlights, but does anybody have any questions or comments about it?
This sounds like a great idea. So our next steps would be to wait until we get applications, and then we as a committee review them and see, how one or how many we want to join.
Well,
for
now, the resolution, it provides for one on
okay.
the 4 committees that I mentioned. Laura and Linda and I have worked on sort of the form application. As I just mentioned, I think it'd be a good idea to put that out, a town-wide email blast after this committee. We've hit 3, and I don't want to wait any longer. I'll be, I'd hope that the other committee was going to meet, but remember it's off. But I still think we should go ahead and get it started, get it out there. It will attach the application. Laura's the contact person. And as I said, we're sort of working through some of the local universities also to get that information out there. And we'll see what kind of interest. It's the same application for all the committees. So they'll just designate which committee they're interested in, why. But it's the same form, and then you guys will review it. But I'm really hoping, and I actually believe very strongly that it'll be a really great experience, not only for these young people, but for all of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a little blurb about our committee, Laura, that, our mission and so forth that we're giving to them. So they know what we're about.
No, but that's a really good idea. I think actually. So right now we just had a check mark box, but to your point, how do they know which one they want?
Right.
Linda, maybe we should do a backside to that application, and we can just list a description of each of the 4 committees so that they have a sense of where they would want to land.
I had actually put out a press release about it, and I mentioned this in somehow miraculously during all this election stuff, nobody picked up on this great thing, but I put out a press release, and one of the things I mentioned in the press release, which I still need to send to you, Laura, at least for background information, and maybe you can use it to put out the townwide email blast, is I said something about this description of each committee is available on the town website, which it does. Your description of tree council is on there and all the committees. But to your point, Carol, it's good to have that. Not only just on, in the, general information, but on the application itself. And then a directive to the website, and then Laura as a point person, et cetera. And of course, the lovely thing about COVID is that these meetings that, are now available. If somebody wants to check, log into the, town website and YouTube, they can view your meetings and have a really good sense of what you guys do and the things that, you're talking about to sort of gauge their interests, et cetera. So any other questions or comments about that?
I
Yeah, I
think I saw that this was a little article in the Niskuna Journal from, I believe, the last edition of it, probably like late last week.
Oh, you did see something?
Yeah,
Oh,
I did see a little article about it
all right. I made like your Niskuna.
in the Your Niskuna.
Okay, I missed it completely. So that's good. I'm glad somebody picked it up anyway.
Yep.
I guess I'd just echo what, Carol had mentioned, that it would be, I think, beneficial to be able to have a description of what the council does, but potentially what kinds of skill sets that a, volunteer could either learn or bring to the council, because certainly while working with plants, so we have different working groups, working with plants, we also have a group working on outreach, and then a group also working on the town's urban forest master plan. And so we've had students in the past, for instance, that have used geographical information systems. They developed an application for mobile phones. So we had a number of Cornell students that have done a wonderful job in developing the street tree inventory and application. So I guess I'm just trying to promote the idea that, at face value, the tree council, a lot of students might just think, well, that's trees and streets, but there's actually a lot of potential planning and technology that potentially could be applied to the committee as well.
Yeah, no question. And sort of that's for you guys to decide. And so there aren't any boundaries on that. So again, you guys will be a great, pilot for this among the other committees, and let's see where it goes. But, overall, I think it'll be a, positive experience for our young people, and, for you, and the town, obviously benefits from, all the input that you and others bring, for sure. So another avenue to do that. So I thank you for letting me come in and talk about this. And any other questions or concerns, et cetera, please let me know. I'm happy to, join. I love joining in on these committee meetings anyway. It's sort of good to see what everybody's doing, and the interconnections are really amazing, and never ceases to amaze me how the time and talents of our community members, you guys just not only bring forth, problems, you bring forth solutions, and your, time and talents are a great gift to all of us. So thank you for having me. I'm going to tune out here. I've got to go get to another appointment, but I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you so much. I think this is a great idea.
Yeah,
So-
Wonderful.
I look forward to hearing more about it.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye. Okay. So Laura, it sounds like the next one is Troy Schenectady Road, 2627.
Yeah, yep. And Amy mentioned that while I'm talking about these, it'd be helpful to have it up on my screen, because sometimes it's hard for people to see these large maps on their computer. So I'll just zoom in on the areas that I'm talking about here.
Okay.
Okay.
So the first one is the Couts Farm, which I know you guys have looked at before. There's been, nope. The first one is, this is, well, I call it the intersection of Shannon Boulevard and Route 7, and you have not seen this one before.
Oh,
I think you're going to play a fairly substantial role in it. So I want you guys to get familiar with the plan and get a sense of it, and then we're probably going to schedule a walkthrough, probably in the next month. But
mhm.
like as a brief overview, this is Shannon Boulevard, Route 7. There's a historic home that sits up on the hill here. that had trees. Well, it was mostly like overgrown vegetation recently cleared out from around it. So you can see it much better now when you're driving up and down Route 7. You may not have noticed it before. And now you're like, whoa, where did that house come from?
Mhm.
It's one of like the first, it's one of the first farmhouses in all of Niskayuna. So we're
Wow.
trying really hard to get the developer to save it. There's some foundation problems and stuff, but it's a really cool old house. I've been in it. I like it a lot. So that house was sitting on, I think, 13 acres. What do you say? Somewhere around there. Like this is the Leishakil, where all is the bottom of all these contours. And up here is the bottom of the Nature Conservancy's property. So this is like the south side of the Leishakil Preserve.
Yeah, okay.
That's owned by the Nature Conservancy. And
Right.
this parcel here is a town of Niskayuna open space from when the subdivision originally occurred. It's Park District 9. So the residents pay in to maintain that as parkland. And he's got a proposal right now to keep the historic home down here and then add 3 homes here. And this blue is,
Show that
Well,
again, Laura.
so
Where's
he's got,
the-
sorry.
Where's the historic home and where he's going to add the 3 others?
Yeah. Can you guys see my screen? I'm having problems here.
And I see it, yeah.
I
So
see
here's
it.
the bottom is the historic home, right?
Yeah, the bottom one's the historic home here.
Okay.
And then do you see these ones that have kind of a darker black line around them? These
Yeah.
would be three new homes. And then
is there already a road there, or are they going to make a road?
These are all just driveways to the homes, and the road is Shannon Boulevard, which does
Shannon
already
Boulevard.
exist.
Okay, got it.
I'm
These
walking
things-
this through every day, Laura, because it's not far from my house, so I know exactly where you're talking about.
Okay, so these guys over here are existing homes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And this is forest land, and this blue area is zoned land conservation, and the developer is proposing to deed all of that to the town of Niskayuna and or the Nature Conservancy if they're interested. I reached out to Paul Gallery. He was interested in developing. He said there used to be a trail on the south side of the Leishakil that kind of got abandoned over time because there wasn't really any access to it. They would be interested in reviving that trail if we were able to make like a formal access point. I don't know if they would like to own the land from the Leishakil all the way down to the parking lot, which we would probably put down here, or if it's good enough for them that the town of Niskayuna would own it and it would connect to the Leishakil, where I showed you.
Yeah.
But really, really old big trees on this parcel.
Wow.
Really, really big old trees.
Wow.
A lot of them are in this blue area, so we are conserving them. So that's important and really good. And I'm excited about that. There's some that are along Shannon Boulevard here. And so the tree council's role is really going to be placing these driveways and figuring out how we can preserve as many trees as possible.
That makes sense.
The people on the opposite side of Shannon Boulevard really want to keep that forest feel, and the developer is really willing to work with us to figure out where the best spot is for the driveway that's going to have the least impact to trees and potentially citing the footprint of the house. So what the plan is now is he's going to flag the way the houses look like on this drawing and where the driveways come out on this drawing. And then we can go out there in real time, in real life, and look at where the trees are as opposed to where the houses and the driveways are, and see if we can move it around and save as many as we possibly can.
Good idea.
We're definitely going to lose a couple good ones, but if we can save the majority of them. And the interesting thing about this is there's already kind of a trail along here, and
No kidding.
it's really, really pretty. Really
bet.
old, big trees. It's very, very nice.
Can you access it through the Leishakil in terms of or
Not
not?
really, because
Not
there
really?
aren't really, I mean, there's this old trail, I guess, on the south side of the Leishakil. I didn't know that there even used to be one. This trail, I think, is for fishing, I think. And one of the
Oh.
leaves.
But there's water. There's a stream going through there.
Well, it's the blue is the land conservation. The stream's actually at the bottom of these contours. If you can see my
Oh, I see. Okay. Mm-hmm.
this stream, yeah. So this is like a pretty substantial drop off from the top of the trail down to the Leishkill is
So if
very,
if I went to the Leishkill and I started walking along the stream, would I end up like in this blue property?
oh, maybe.
Wouldn't you have to cross the stream down there?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't access, that's not the trail. So yeah, no, there's no access from the preserve to that location. I
But
mean,
you
Route,
can walk the stream. Yeah.
Route 7, we cross over the stream on Route 7 right there. And I think there is like a little pull off right there where her
Yeah,
cursor.
yeah.
I
Mhm.
do, I'm gonna jump off the ball, but I did have a quick question. So on the third house to the north,
This one, yeah.
so I was just looking at the contours there, and the way that they bend down, it just looked like it's a fairly steep. And I guess, are they proposing to kind of regrade that entire area? Is that what those? I did.
We're hoping that they don't have to. He's basically admitted that that can't be like your standard clear cut, make a flat pad, build a house. Like that house is gonna have to be like built to the side of the hill. Like with a walkout basement. So the least amount of clearing and grading he can do, because that's actually like probably the most sensitive area of those 3 homes to the tree removal. So I call it like an architect's house, but I think that we want to try really hard to make sure that that's not just your normal postage stamp, plunk it down, because it's a steep hill. So you really actually want to build that house into the hill and use the contours and keep the forest.
Right. I guess I'm just wondering, like, potentially that hillside, the way the house is built, how's that going to influence the flow onto the existing town property, which could potentially influence, the forest and trees in that location. If it's redirecting flow away from the home into that area, is that a potential issue? And I guess that's down the road, but I'm just kind of looking at it going, wow, those contour lines are pretty tight. And so the distance to the actual town open space is not substantial.
That's a really good point. I think we should bring that up now rather than later.
I agree.
But I gotta go. So thanks, Laura, and super excited to see the resumes from the students. So it'll be
Okay, good. And then maybe when you have a chance, shoot me an email for setting up a master plan committee meeting, a subcommittee.
I am super excited about that. Let me know.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
What do the white blocks on this map mean? Are there
Existing homes. These are existing homes.
Oh, so there is a road that's going up that blue area?
Yeah. Sorry. I was sad that my ARC map wasn't loaded. Aw. Look at this.
I'm looking at it. I mean,
It is.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's Shannon Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this is this large chunk of forest. This is where the really big trees are. They are big.
So it's
And then if you go up here, like this is where you get into like the true Leishkill Nature Preserve with all of the blocks and stuff. You see it.
All those
This is
homes
the Leishkill here.
are behind the Leishkill? All those homes are attached to the Leishkill that are on the, you just showed. All these guys on Dublin Drive, Dublin Drive, are they backing onto the Leishkill?
Yeah, the south side of the Leishkill, which you can't actually access, but you will be. This is right here.
I've accessed that. You just gotta
I
walk through
feel
it.
like I've walked along rivers down there. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, in the
is
fall,
it-
the water is very shallow. You can just walk up the stream.
yeah. So that's what I'm wondering is how many people have already gotten access to this area.
Well, I mean, this part of the Leishkill is actually on the Most Holy Redeemer Cemetery property, but
Oh,
and
well, I
this
trust
is down
that.
here.
I'm gonna go look.
Yeah, I've walked the whole thing to Route 7.
You did?
Yeah, I guess I trespassed. I didn't realize it.
Well, Is
I
it
don't know if it's
that land?
in New York if it's like moving water. I'm not 100% clear on that.
I was in the stream, so I think you're right, Laura.
Oh,
I don't think they have, they can control that.
I bet I've walked through this then.
So
I've walked along the stream that's down there.
Well, you can go all the way under Route 7. There's a culvert. You walk right under the road. It's about, you can walk the whole thing. It's pretty spooky.
Yeah.
So, Laura, what's the timing on this?
So the timing is, sorry, that the planning board just did sketch plan review, but specifically called out help from the tree council, asking for you guys to help with the driveways. So like I said, the next step is that developer is actually going to flag those things, and then we would go out and meet with him. So I would think that we would be meeting with him probably over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then if we need, we would revise plans from there, and then potentially even help during building permit.
Okay.
I'd be happy to help with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah, me too.
me too.
I mean, it's a balance. You guys are going to like the entirety of the forest, but we are able to save the back part, which is clearly, I think, in my, opinion, that slope where it's steep has definitely never been cut. It's really, really
Cool.
nice. And then, closer to the road, there's some big trees. I couldn't say like if they had ever been cut, but it's definitely old.
Mm-hmm.
Fun. I always like it.
Okay. Yeah. So take a look at that map, get familiar with it, and then I'll be reaching out to you guys to do the site walk. And then if you had any comments about the subdivision just in general, we can talk about them here, or you can let me know.
Laura, do you think that these trees are so old and so big that they potentially are old growth forest?
The ones on the backside, I would guess, like just from my education, that they are old growth. They're steep, so they probably wouldn't have had any reason to clear them for farmland and stuff like that. And they're just enormous oaks, so.
Cool. I can't wait to see it.
I don't know if you're familiar with Fred Breglia from the Landis Arboretum.
Mm-hmm.
He's the director of the Arboretum. He also is involved with old growth forest location and management and assessment. And I wonder if he would be interested in or able to come out with us and help us look at this section.
That's a great idea.
Also thinking that I wonder if we're going to find any champion trees in there, because he also is on a committee that looks for the champion trees across New York State.
I think that's a great idea. If I don't have his contact information, can you send it to me, Amy? And I can just send him a description of what it is. And then when we have our site meeting, we could invite him along and he could take a look at it.
Yes.
I think it would be cool in one sense just to know, not just have a sense, but really have an expert say, yeah, I really think you do have some old growth here. 2, then we can say that the town is preserving old growth too. To the tree council. And then 3, if there is a tree of value that he can identify within the area that would be subdivided, then we would take extra effort, I think, to protect that if we can.
Exactly.
Great.
Wonderful.
Good idea, Amy.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's the official name of this project? What are we calling this project?
Its official name is, sorry, Phil, what's it on the agenda? It goes by its address.
2627 Troy Schenectady Road.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you.
Great.
And Laura, if we wanted to just walk out there on our own, like, isn't there a little pull-off area along Route 7 that you can park and then walk that that spot into the blue area?
Yes, there is.
There is that fishermen use.
And that's where we would probably put a parking lot.
It's called Shannon Boulevard.
Yeah. So I can show you on the aerial quick.
Yeah,
And, I can send an email to Joel, but he basically said any board members that want to walk it are welcome to. I guess people walk it fairly regularly.
I don't doubt it.
We put a bunch of trespassing signs up, but you guys are allowed to go out there. I can just send him an email that some of you are interested and he can expect to see you out there. But he had sent that invitation out. So just
Okay.
quickly, like, this is, I mean, I don't drive Route 7 a whole lot.
Yeah.
I drive Balltown Road. So we all
So
sort
you-
of have our own little spaces. But apparently this is where the
Cannon Boulevard.
if you guys have any sense of it, you
Yeah.
go past Cannon Boulevard. This is the driveway to the historic zone, and this is a little driveway. There's a break
Oh,
guardrail, and there's a little driveway here. And apparently, the police sit there a lot. So if you drive Route 7, you may be familiar with it. But you can tuck your car in there very safely, park, and then go check that forest out.
okay.
Okay.
Park where the police park or park on
They're right
Shannon
here. It's not a
Boulevard?
police parking lot. It's just a good place to take
Oh.
pull in for
Yeah.
speed
Not
trap.
restricted.
Yeah. People
Right.
who drive Route 7 a lot know it because they know that there's a speed trap there. I have actually I don't drive it enough to have ever seen a policeman there, but
I just
I
saw
don't
one
see
this
them there
morning.
often.
I drove it this morning because I do this, coming out of Mohawk, I go right past Shannon and there was a police car there.
yeah, okay, that's exactly where they go.
Mhm.
Would they be mad if we park there?
No, no.
Okay.
It's just a place that they like to pull out because it's a safe place for them to do a speed trap.
Sure. And if we actually park there, is there trails or are we going to be
There is a
bushwhacking?
trail. You'll see it. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
there's
it's an informal trail on private property right now, but there is a trail.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
That'd be fun. I don't
Okay.
mind.
Shall we move on to the River Road one?
Okay. So the River Road one you guys have seen before. I wanted to give you an update though. There's something specific now that I think we can bring our expertise to bear. We will go out if there's we had looked at this forest here and it's also a very nice forest, very intact. It's got witch hazel at the bottom and the May apple, and it's got a lot of natives. The understory isn't buckthorn and stuff, so that's very nice. So we got this corner preserved as open space forever wild. This corner over here is a kind of a lupin field with some oaks along the border, and all of
Nice.
that's going to get preserved. And then kind of the rest of it. This is, I mean, these lots are small, so I think you'd pretty much see everywhere that there's a house and private lots is probably going to get turned into a home with a yard. But the nice thing is, that to the back they've got this kind of very intact forest that we were
Nice.
on preserving. But a big change. We had originally wanted the road to go through, but there were too many concerns with the level of traffic and stuff that would be going on Windsor Road, so the town board shot that down. So now they're actually going to be, and I can show you if you guys can see this.
Mhm.
This very light dotted line is where there's existing asphalt. And
Oh,
so
no
the contractor is going to go in there and remove all of this asphalt, and he's going to change the way that the road works so that it just has this curve. And then this can become open space, green space park. And what we were thinking is we could use this, not only as a little parkland, but tree planting area. So we might be able to line, the multi-use path here with some unique trees. You know how we're always looking for places we can put diverse and unique trees. And then if we also have ideas, like we might be able to fill in some of the area here. We were talking about bringing some of the lupins over and doing little lupin gardens in here with
Nice.
benches. But so it's a little bit, but I think we have a lot of flexibility to put a bunch of cool stuff in here. That so the cool thing about this is, I'll zoom out again. We can work on this little pocket park and plant some trees there. And it's sort of like the entrance to Blatnick Park, right? Because there's a ton of neighborhood houses up here. And now you have this multi-use path connection that's going to get you all the way down to Blatnick Park. So if you make this beautiful entrance with a lot of beautiful, unique trees, and actually you can carry it all the way down the multi-use path if we want. And then you can get them over to Blatnick Park on this kind of like totally beautiful entranceway here.
Nice.
So Laura, just so I understand this, this, how do I want to say, the little gray road going up to Windsor is not going to be a road?
Right. So if you go there now, and I can show this on here, let me just zoom out a little. If you go there now, it's paved, and he's going to take all the asphalt out, put down topsoil, and we can work with, you know, anybody who wants to help us to replant that area, make it green, and make it a nice entranceway to Blatnick Park. It's right in here.
Wow.
So this is the area right here.
Laura,
Yeah.
when the developer removes the asphalt, we should include wording that it's not just this much top layer of asphalt, but also the gravel subbase, because we won't be able to plant trees into that with it being compacted.
Okay, we should definitely make that distinction. I think he wants to use the gravel subbase as he builds the multi-use path, but it's always good to be clear because miscommunication is like the root of everything bad.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
so I'll make that
Thanks,
note.
Amy.
So
Right.
take a drive down there. Essentially it's this, right? This little stub will go, and then there'll be a, you know, a path that goes in through here. So we have, if you stand on there, it's quite a bit of area with more than you think for us to work on. Like 130 feet by, you know, 50.
What
Wow.
about the neighbors of that,
You know, they're kind
of
of
that
interesting.
area?
I think that they would help us. I think we could get a lot of volunteers to help us with the design. We could probably do a lot of outreach just by nature of working with them, talking about the different trees that we could plant there. I do think they're interested in making that as nice a park as it can be, because
Nice.
it'll help with their property values if they take that time to do it.
Yeah.
And they did
Absolutely.
not want that road. So anything that, you know, that they can do to make it, you know, a beautiful landscaped area, I think that they're, you know, ready and willing to do. And I do think that they would like to help because it's in their neighborhood. So I'm just, this is a recent kind of development. And I think that we would probably take the lead when it comes to planning it, but maybe doing a mail out to the adjacent residents and saying, hey, we're working on this park. You want to help? Would be a great way to just bring people to the tree council and talk about what
Can
we
I,
could plant.
can I ask a question? So when you look at where Windsor Drive goes down, crossing Briar Ridge, there's all this like sandy area. Is that where they're building homes, or what's that going to be? What is that?
This?
All
this.
to the yeah, everything.
Um,
Right.
Yeah,
the
that's where the Phelps farm is.
The what farm?
That's where they're building the homes.
Oh,
So-
that's where they're going to build the homes.
This is
Okay.
where the development is.
Okay.
If I rotated it, he does not have north on north.
Oh,
on this
okay. Okay.
Mhm.
He's
All right.
got, like north is just about that. So if I
Okay.
rotate, like
Okay. Oh, I see it. It looks just like the other picture. Okay, I get it.
Mhm.
And that, at the end of the trail, we have a crosswalk going across River Road?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Laura, also, could we designate, if we intend to plant trees and have maybe a pollinator entranceway with lupins there, when he removes the current asphalt and subbase, we don't want him to seed the area with grass.
Yeah.
That's often a common thing, but we don't want to have to remove all that if we
Yeah, that
intend
makes
to
sense.
kind of do, you know, a meadow, a pollinator meadow or bed.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that may be true of all of this, right? Because he's not going to disturb this. This is where there's a lot of lupins growing already.
Oh,
but
wow.
like, you might be able to put some lupins over here and stuff. So I mean, maybe just don't really seed any of don't really seed any of that area until we can get out there and make it as pollinator friendly as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of lupins in where the proposed housing is going
There
to.
is. So the lupins kind of go like this. So they kind
Right.
of
Yeah.
so all in here you're losing the lupin. So anywhere we can move. The other thing I was thinking is that highway was gonna mulch between all the elms we planted. Maybe we could steal some of these lupins and put them on that hill. Eventually they'll get shaded out, but they'll have, you know, probably 10, 15 years that they could grow on that hill.
That's a great idea. So we could steal these lupins and put them
Get
over
them out
there?
of there, yeah. You're not transplanting. I mean, you're not like it's not like you would be like, you could scoop them up with an excavator and then just drive across the road, which might be easier for the developer too.
I guess so.
This is an opportunity to have some really nice chunks there of big continuous pollinator pathway instead of just, little 5-foot area. We could really make a nice impact there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, so maybe what I'll do is I'll just send the developer an email that we reviewed it and we like it, or maybe the planning board, and that we're interested in, developing that park and creating pollinator pathways there.
Yes, and if I could encourage everybody, I think you would be interested, and I think I've mentioned before, this group called the Xerces Society, and that's XERCES, if I remember correctly, Xerces.
Correct.
And it's thank you. It's a consortium of horticulturalists and scientists, and all aiming to improve habitat for pollinators and insects and birds and mammals, anything to do with pollination. And they have a wonderful book. I was so impressed with their book that I said, well, gee, if they ever do anything else in life, I'm going to go do it. And then I saw that they had a 2-day intensive workshop a couple years ago out toward Buffalo. And I said, well, their book impressed me. So I drove out to Buffalo for 2 days and attended this workshop. And after being there for just the first hour and a half, it was like an hour and a half class, take a break, then another hour and a half segment on a different topic. And just after the first hour and a half, I texted Fred Breglia, who's the director of the Landis Arboretum, and I said, my goodness, just this one part, I could go home now, and it would have been worth 5 hours of driving there and 5 hours of driving back, because it was so full of information. So they know what they're doing. They present it very well. And I think we could use their information as a foundation for any sort of pollinator work that we do in town.
I agree. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on this topic?
I think we're good.
Yeah, both of these are interesting projects.
Actually, if I can show you, this is the book. I just saw that it was on my desk here.
Okay.
And it's just so well laid out, and you can tell it's full of notes. I treat books as tools, so please forgive me, any of you people who don't like it when you crush the spine, or, and don't want to draw in the book, because I just line the whole thing. I mean, I've got stuff written in the corners. I think really we could benefit and kind of use this as a map, so to speak, for how to lay out the pathway. One of the issues with pollinators is that we are breaking up, just like with mammals, we're breaking up their habitat. So they don't just need this one little plant. They don't just need one lupin or one butterfly bush to survive. They need the whole habitat area. They need the place for overwintering, for nesting, for reproduction, for eating, for the adults, and eating for the young. So if we kind of think of this whole area, the existing lupins, and then the strip coming in, and then along that pathway, that would be a wonderful continuous area to plant.
Wonderful.
Sounds good.
What about the area in the corner of that parcel where he said he was going to keep that, wild? Yeah, over in there. Is that a pollinator area, or is that more of a foresty area?
Which one?
I muted myself. I'm talking away. This is forested.
Okay.
So this corner here, where my cursor is up with these pine trees and oaks, is this corner right here. There.
Okay.
Where the path crosses is right like here. The path is like crossing right through here, and then it goes down and around. But that's why you can, this is kind of the wetter part here. This is where all the lupin grow. Like, that's where I was kind of circling
Because
on
it's
this.
sandy. It looks like it's sandy soils.
I think it's just because it's the fall and all the she just died in the area. Where I was circling before is like the equivalent of this right here.
If it was sandy soils, it would be great to do the lupin that the blue corner butterfly loves.
Right, exactly.
I don't know. They
We
may be a
should-
little sandy, but they're not like pine bush sandy.
We should name that pathway Lupin Lane.
Yeah.
And we could have this whole, this whole thing. So another thing about pollinators is they only can fly a certain distance, right? As a human, we can only walk so much before we collapse and we have to take a break. So pollinators can only fly certain distances based on each different type. So maybe they can fly a few feet, a few 100 feet, a few yards, a few miles. So it's really a problem for them. If you have a little tiny cluster, you have a cluster at my house, and then you have a cluster at your house. Well, that's great. That's nice. That's wonderful. But how are they going to get from my house over to your house? And so one of the concepts is this stepping stone type of idea, where there's a cluster at my house, and then a little bit farther away, there's another cluster, and then there's another cluster, and then there's another cluster. So maybe there's 6 clusters of food or pocket habitats between my house and your house, so that they can kind of use these as stepping stones to transverse that whole area. A lot of times, agriculture is a problem for pollinators because we'll have big open cut fields and just wildflowers on the edges of the fields, and the insects literally can't fly all the distance across the field to get to that pocket on the other side. So if we start to think about stepping stones and continuous paths, I think that's going to be awesome.
Okay, so I'll make a memo to the planning board that that we would like to request that we can design a pollinator pathway alongside the bike path.
Yeah, that would be great.
That'd be great.
And remember, it's not just perennials. There are tons and tons of trees and shrubs that will support this effort as well.
And it'll be a great demonstration of it because people will be using it in their everyday lives as they get to a park. And so, like, if we actually kind of mark with signs, like what we're doing as part of the pollinator pathway, like people get used to actually like walking and bicycling through a pollinator pathway, which would be cool too.
That would be neat.
Yes.
Okay, why don't we move on to our reports here? Because I just want to keep track of the time. Public outreach. Laura, we have to do our resubmittal, and I couldn't get in again, so I don't
know what the password is. I have to kind of try and log on, and then I'll send it to you again.
Okay, because I think we have to submit by the end of the year again and show what activities we've done this year. So I just want to make sure we're kind of coming into like 6 weeks out. So
can you just constantly ping me on that? Don't be worried about annoying me. Because
and I'll also try to call a Tree City person and see if she can. Would you mind if I got her and I can reset it to just reset it and then let you know?
Okay. Although I might be able to get in anyway, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, but we do this every year, so we can't remember what the password is.
It's like Misty 1, 2, 3. I don't know.
Right. So we do have to resubmit that, but we did have our Arbor Day event. So, we've planted the elm trees. So we've done activities this year that I think will qualify us for, what we need to. I just need to get in and see exactly what we have to submit for the annual redesignation. So Arbor Day, we haven't even really thought of for 2021 yet. That's always out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I was just trying to think of what the next kind of things we are doing, right? So the next thing is we got to get our certification back, and then after that, we'll probably start thinking about Arbor Day.
Right. So I think obviously our next step is getting our Tree City recertification done by the end of the year. That's what we'll focus on. And if anybody wants to join the public, Jonathan, I know you aren't on any. We're down to Amanda and me because Melissa and Steve both have left, and they were both on the public outreach. So
Yes. And we have lost Melissa on our tree planting group as well.
So maybe in January, when we talk about our goals, we kind of look at our subcommittees and
Yeah.
Sure.
for the
Yep.
Make
year.
sure they're full. Yeah.
I'm happy.
Okay.
Maybe I'm already on the tree planting group. I don't even remember. I'm always happy to do the tree planting part, but
I think you are on the tree planting subcommittee.
good.
I think.
Yeah, I'm free. I can help out and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll put you on all of them, Jonathan.
Because Carol, the other thing I didn't put on there is like what you and Chris were saying is the description of the tree council is updating our website too.
Right. That's what I was just thinking of. I was going to go on and see what we have there that we could use for the application.
Because
So,
we have our beautiful magnets the next time that we're allowed to hand things out to people and we've all been vaccinated and the world is, normal again. We have these beautiful magnets that we can hand out to people.
Well, even if we do the drive-by Arbor Day next year, we can put them in the little packet that we
That's
give
great.
them.
Really
So-
great. Mhm.
So how about the tree inventory and tree master plan subcommittee?
Okay, so I took this one because Chris popped off the call. We are struggling a little with budget. I appreciate that Amy, mentioned to the town board again that we do know that they're in a financial crisis, but continuing to fund our, planting trees and helping the trees is really important. So I made that note to him and then she followed up. But I think to the extent that we can, we are going to try and use up our tree master plan money by the end of this year. So I gave the engineer a go ahead. He's been working on it. He and I have had a couple trading of calls and he is he's full into it. So I would expect in December, like the master plan committee is probably going to meet a couple times, but our December tree council meeting may have like a large chunk dedicated to looking at our master plan and working on it and providing feedback to the engineer on it.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
If there, I know everybody's like super busy, but if there is somebody who thinks that they could help me, one of the things that we have to do for the engineer is do.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Jonathan, we can't hear you anymore either. Oh, he
And
left.
Jonathan, that's what was
That happened
happening
to you.
too.
Hopefully
Weird.
he'll call back in.
But like we have to like kind of give him an outline of our broad goals, like an outline of what our community is, that we can refine later, but he kind of needs a rough draft input from us. So if anybody is available and has a little bit of time, I can send you the things that we got to flesh out a little bit and send to him and see if you guys can help me. If there isn't, when I get to it, I'll get to it. But if anybody does have time, that would be very helpful to the master plan committee.
See if there's something I can do, I'd be happy to help.
Yeah, you could send it to me, Laura, and
And the
I'll,
bullet points, you guys? Okay, I'll send it to Carol and to Andrea. Just a couple things we have to fill in for them.
mhm. And Chris is looking at it too, right? Okay.
Chris does like the data side more than like the writing side.
All right. He's good at that.
Yeah, he is. That's kind of what he does.
Mm.
Okay. Anything else on the tree inventory master plan?
No, did I tell you guys this? That when we were planting the elm trees, this guy came over and asked us what we were doing. and we were like, oh, we're planting disease resistant elms, blah, 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 blah. And he asked us a couple clarifying questions, and we just kind of assumed he was a Niskuna resident. And he goes, oh, I should identify myself. I'm the DEC forester for your region.
Oh,
And we were like, oh my gosh, I think I told Amy this. We're like, no way. So like he was like, yeah, we're having our meeting at Blatnick Park today. So the leader of the community forestry program, Gloria, I can't remember what her last name is, was there. The lady that usually communicates back and forth to me on the community forestry plan and grants was there. And our DEC regional forester was there, just randomly. And they had a long, good conversation with Ray. It was spectacularly awesome.
Oh, nice.
He wants to like send Ray a bunch of resources for training his guys on tree pruning and stuff like that. And it was just very beneficial for them to just, be talking, kind of tree maintenance to each other in their own little language. And then they had mentioned again, like some of the community forestry grants. So, they're behind on their review and they're behind on, a lot of stuff, but they do still feel like the program's moving forward and they were excited to meet us. And I do think that we're very competitive for that grant when it rolls around again. And that would be the inventory side. But it was just a random happy, like we just ran into all those people while we were planting those elm trees. So it was cool.
Hey, Laura, two things. One, if the highway department does any training, I think we can count that as part of our recertification.
We can.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think we have to look into, we track that. And then the other thing is I've been having people ask me, what sort of disease resistant elms are we planting? Because they're interested, people from other communities. So
okay, so there's multiple different kinds of disease resistant elms. Paul, are you still on the call? I do have them. Hold on. I think it's the Elm Research Institute.
I'm here. I'm listening. Yeah, it's the Elm Research Institute in New Hampshire, Keene. And they're not, a lot of the disease resistant aren't of the, I'm not real technical, but they don't get as large. The ones we've been getting, that I started getting, are closest to the original American elm, but I don't know much more than that.
So I was looking at the different cultivars.
Liberty. They call them Liberty elms.
Yeah, and so Liberty elms are interesting because they're kind of a cross between disease-resistant existing elm trees, and some other things, but because they are more native, they aren't always as disease resistant as some of the ones that are like totally hybrid, but they have a lot more genetic diversity in them.
That's true, but these are, as far as I know, the absolute largest and most authentic to the original American elm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's important.
That's why I like them.
This gives me more information that I can pass on to other people as they're asking me more questions about.
There's a couple of disease resistant cultivars. Like if I can find you the website, I'll send it to you. There's like 4 of them that are kind of the leading replacement disease resistant elms, and this is one of 4. Elm.
Okay.
Just look at the form and the size of the alternate ones, and I was, from my research way back when, I wasn't too impressed, but
okay.
I like big trees, you know that.
Yeah. Well, this is good information to pass along to other people who are interested. Okay, and finally, the tree planting subcommittee. It looks like fall trees have been planted, it says here.
Yes. Well, Laura, do you want to update on what Ray's guys have done?
Yeah, so we had that successful spring planting. The fall planting, I think, was actually also very successful. So you guys did that mark out. They planted all of those trees, and actually they ended up being in pots, not bare root. Which was fine. I haven't actually stood in front of where the trees were planted, but I've driven by and I can see them. They were planted where we flagged them. They did have to move one flag because of a sewer line or something. But essentially, 19 of them went where we flagged them, and then one of them went closer to where the sign was. And so good spacing. And then they also did the fall plantings that we asked them to do. So they replaced all the dawn redwoods. They replaced the 2 dead trees in the Rexford traffic circle. They took care of the 2 columnar sweet gums that died on Cornelius. And I took a look a couple days ago, and the sweet gums, the columnar sweet gums that they planted there looked really good, really healthy. And is there a last one that they did? I think that might be it. So, but all the ones that we requested are in, and they looked good, and I was happy.
Question about, do we have a sense of why on Cornelius 2 of the columnar ones did die?
I don't know. I just, I wasn't really monitoring Cornelius. I drove down it in the springtime and it looked absolutely gorgeous. And I was like, man, like we made such an impact. Like that street was so dead. And if you drove it down in the spring, it was so much more alive. I was so proud of us when I drove down there in the spring. Cornelius is not on my normal route. So I literally just drove down it in the fall to make sure they were all alive. And 2 of the sweet gums had gone. So I don't know what happened to them.
But you said
Okay.
they did replace them.
And the replacements looked very good.
Good.
And did they replace them in kind?
Yeah, they were 2 columnar sweet gums that they put back there. Just
Terrific.
remember, we talked to those guys and they were very excited about them.
Yes, that's right.
Great.
And what about at River Road Park? We lost 2 of the Shiloh Splash River Birch that I had mentioned. I mentioned it.
I was out at River Road Park, but I did forget to put those in the tree plant. So those need to go on our list. The other thing that I should mention to you guys about River Road Park is I think we should fold in. We're doing the field work out there now, but a couple of the residents along River Road whose backyard goes up to River Road Park do feel like there's a lot of noise that comes there, and they requested that we plant a line of hemlocks along the road to buffer them. Hemlocks is probably not the greatest choice. I
Yeah, we
understand why
cannot
you
do
want
hemlocks. Yeah.
but we probably shouldn't be planting hemlocks. But if we're doing spring plantings and the highway, and we have some time and we can focus there, there is a request to do some evergreens along that road in River Road Park, just for some privacy and for some noise. So let's put that on our list. Is fix the Shiloh birches and the evergreens there.
And then, Laura, on Aqueduct Park, I know they've been doing a lot of work there that's been finished up, but the big ash is still there, the one that's diseased. That hasn't been taken down, and I was wondering if any more trees were going to be planted there.
So the one that may not be as healthy as it possibly could be, but that is not actually an ash. I thought it was. We looked at it. I think it might be a box elder.
Okay.
So I think we decided to leave it. There was an ash that was directly next to it that they did take down. They took down the one that was definitely dead, and they took down all the other ashes. But there's one by the river and there's the one up by the road that are not actually ashes. So we decided to leave them because they're still alive.
That makes sense.
We were thinking it, if that was in decline and it was an ash tree, it would be a matter of months, but not an ash.
Okay. So they're finished planting there then. We're not putting any more trees or anything there.
We can probably request for more trees to go there through the development that we looked at, not last meeting, but 2 meetings ago, because he is taking trees down in the linear park there. And he's taking trees down that Andre and I had, tagged and flagged when he was doing so he has to do a decent amount of replanting. So we could probably get trees back in that area. But we didn't plant any directly down by the river because it floods. So those are bushes that can take ice damage. It's serviceberry, spice bush. What else is down there? There's a couple things.
Was a sycamore planted? A tree? Wasn't there a sycamore
Oh,
planted?
there is a sycamore. Yeah, big one.
Yeah.
For the record, I was down there and they left the burlap bag completely girdling the tree at the bottom, and volcano mulched it.
Oh no.
So I pulled the mulch away and then had the contractor come over with a super sharp knife and we pulled the burlap bag. It just amazes me. Like, that's such a big tree. It probably cost so much money. And they planted it in such a way that it would 100% have died.
Wow. Oh my God.
So is this part of, I mean, as being part of mitigation, or that's maybe not the correct word, but you know, they have to plant some trees to satisfy, right? So can we have in our agreements or stipulations or contracts, whatever word is correct, that they have to remove as much of the burlap as possible and remove the wire cage? And because that's just a waste of money. That's just going to die.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to check anything else they planted that I noticed that at the end of our walkthrough during the day. And actually the only reason I noticed it is because it was volcano mulched. And I was like, so I started pulling the mulch away so that I could get to the flare. And then when I got down to the flare, I was like, what is this? And it was, the burlap was right up against the skin of the tree and it was very tight.
Wow.
Strong.
That's
And it was
ridiculous.
quite
That's lazy. That's
hard
just
to get off.
lazy.
Like, I don't think that was going to like degrade and be fine.
No.
No.
Okay.
Well, I'll double check those, but yeah, there's some gray dogwoods down there. Just a couple things. I'm going to check them all for burlap, but yeah, when they are planting in our parks, we can stipulate that. I actually was on site when they were planting some of the stuff and it looked like they were doing fine. I wasn't on site when they planted the sycamore.
I'm sorry, could you specify the road again? I mean, the location, the site location.
It's the Aqueduct Park there, right down by the Rexford Bridge. There's the
Thank
gas
you.
station and then the park right there.
Thank
So
you.
kind of drive through, you drive in between Smith's Auto Garage and the boathouse.
Mm-hmm.
It
Okay.
doesn't necessarily look like it's going to be a park, which I think is why sometimes it's not as heavily used, but there's a nice park in there.
Okay. Anything else on the tree planting?
What is our next step? What is our status then with Jeff Blacknick Park with the sign?
I'll follow up with Ray. I think that the idea or his thought was initially that we might be able to at least order it this fall, but it probably wouldn't get installed until the spring. I would think the next step for the tree planting committee would be to be thinking about spring planting, starting to make a list of things, you know, that we think could use some attention. And then also, I know you guys are busy, but maybe looking at that master planting list that you had been working on and off on.
Yes, yes. Is it possible for Steve's and Chris's database program? Can we look at that and can they tell us where some areas might be that were in the red zone that didn't have a lot of trees, that so we could go look at those places and pick our spring planting area?
Yeah, I think we could do that. Maybe Amy and Paul, if you guys want to kind of pick a date for that, we might just be able to do a data meeting there and kind of hone in on a spring planting street.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, we made such a difference on Cornelius. I'm so happy with that.
Yeah, and we should be thinking about what we want our goals for 2021 to be, because we really only have one more meeting, and then, you know, it'd be good to, in January, kick off and really start working on our goals for 2021.
Yeah, one of the things that we had talked about that we wanted to do this year was some more educational things, right? Some classes and well, but then COVID came, so I'm sad that we didn't get to do that. That was going to be part of Arbor Day, even, was to be inside and have a class and talk about some different topics, and we could be talking about trees for pollinator pathways, and we didn't get the chance to do that. So I don't know if in the future, once we get past COVID, that could remain one of our goals.
Right,
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'll email this to you guys, but Linda and Clark and I put together the calendar for our next. I was trying to share, and then I was like, oh, I don't know where it is on my computer. Here it is. So we're the second Thursday, and it looks like I think we can meet the second Thursday with really not too much interference all the way until November. It looks like November is really the only conflict we have. Veterans Day is on a Thursday, and then Thanksgiving is always on a Thursday, and then the town board has Thursday meetings in November because of the budget. So we would either not have a November meeting, or I was thinking maybe just for 1 month, a Tuesday meeting.
Okay.
That's
So I'll send
fine.
this to you guys and then check your calendars and let me know if you have any conflicts. We could adopt it at our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
It's reasonable that in November we can all, the trees are snoozing, we can snooze.
Okay. Anything else? It looks like our next meeting's December 10th.
And we are meeting virtually at least through January. I'll let you guys know in January, but we made that call.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes
Okay.
sense. So does somebody want to make a motion?
Before we do that, could I just say thank you, Laura and Linda, for sending us the reminders on email and with the link right in it, so it's easy to access. I appreciate that.
They're
Yeah.
That
wonderful.
is
Thank
helpful.
you.
I
Yes,
agree.
so
Mhm.
useful. Well, I'll make a motion to adjourn this very productive meeting.
Yeah. Anyone
I'll
second?
second.
Okay. Well then, thanks everyone for joining and we'll meet again in a month. So
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Be
Bye.
well.
Good evening.
Happy
Take
holidays.
care.